Hey, my name is Amoga, co-founder and CEO of Carbon Origins. We're a robotics and VR company on a mission to make robots commonplace. So we're a group of scientists, engineers, and entrepreneurs. We have landed robots on Mars, we've launched suborbital rockets, we've deployed satellite constellations, developed VR technologies for Disney. We're very passionate about deep tech, and we see robotics as the future of front-end labor. And our goal is to incubate that in a location, in a place where it can get the most TLC. We originally started the company in California, but we moved to Minnesota a few months ago. Really affordable to build robots in the United States here in Minnesota. There are a lot of contract manufacturers here with the right expertise. There are other companies building robots here. It is going to be the hotbed for robot manufacturing. The reason is, if you can build Skippies, our robots, to work in the Minnesota weather and geography, they can work anywhere.
Now, when you hire someone with a disability, you've immediately led by example. You've said you trust a new perspective, that you're confident in that person, in yourself, and your team. Now, I work with a theater company, and we have signs on the wall that say, "Work your quirk," and radical inclusion. They emphasize that what makes us different gives us strength, a new perspective, a creative edge. In Cajun cooking, there's an ingredient called the lagniappe, and it's that little something something that keeps you coming back. Hire somebody with a disability. It's the lagniappe thing to do.
So, you've decided to start your own business. You have the resources to sell or the services your new customers need. So what's next? Here's a simple checklist to help you get started. First, choose your business structure. Do you want a sole proprietorship, partnership, limited liability company, or corporation? Each form has tax and financial consequences. Next, check to make sure the name you want to use for your business is available. You can do this by checking with the Minnesota Secretary of State office. If you want to be a sole proprietor, all you have to do is register the business name with the Secretary of State office. Or if your business is going to be an LLC or a corporation, when you file the business structure registration with the Secretary of State's office, that registration also includes the business name. After that, you may need to obtain federal and state tax identification numbers from the Internal Revenue Service and the Minnesota Department of Revenue. Note that some businesses won't need to take this step. Need is determined by the number of business owners, if the business will have employees, and if the business makes taxable sales or provides taxable services. Next, obtain any necessary licenses and permits from state and local government. Then you will need to buy or rent space for the business and set up phone and internet service. You'll also want to start a banking and credit relationship with a bank or other financial institution. And don't forget to write a business plan with benchmarks to guide you through business growth. We can help you.
And remember, if you need help in any of these steps, please reach out to us here at the Small Business Assistance Office. We have staff available to answer your questions.
My name is John Hauk. I am president of LightRun Incorporated. LightRun manufactures and sells a specialized unweighting tool for survivors of stroke, traumatic brain injury, and other injuries. I started out my career working for a company called Cardiac Pacemakers, then later on St. Jude Medical, along with a couple of startups in between. So I came out of the cardiac world, and Minnesota has been a great place for a medical device career. Our product has been sold and is currently being used in Hennepin County Medical Center, the VA Hospital in Minneapolis, North Memorial Hospital, and we're soon going to be delivering a system to Courage Kenny. So we are getting local traction in spite of the pandemic, and our goal is to go nationwide in 2022 and beyond.
Well, I met Andrew in 2010. He was a recent graduate from the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. So he already had his education before he came to us. And he was looking for work as an architect.
And I applied for over 200 jobs all over the US. I applied for jobs in Hawaii, New York, Florida and didn't get any sort of response. And after I'd applied for all of those different jobs, I realized that the job market right now is really low and that I was facing discrimination, as were a lot of people with disabilities.
So he's deaf and the world is hearing, and so of course the biggest barrier for him was communication. He worked with MCIL on job interviewing skills, and he did a very nice job talking about his experience and his work qualifications, but he did struggle a little bit with the accommodation issue, and so we worked a little bit more on that.
It was my good fortune to meet Andrew back in 2007, 2008. Andrew was someone who was deaf and he had graduated from architectural school. Really my charge was, how can I help Andrew network, take smaller steps given what the economy was.
He really advocated in my job search. He wants people to get out there. He connected me with people in the field because that's what I needed. He reached out to MnDOT, the Minnesota Department of Transportation, in the Affirmative Action Office. He contacted Lynette Geschwind. She was the head of the Affirmative Action Office at MnDOT. And she was able to set up a contract job for me to inspect airport terminals. It was a fascinating job, but again, it was contract work. And they actually didn't seem to see me as a person with disabilities. Based on my resume, they said via email that they were just really impressed with my experience, and they wanted to give me a chance.
When we launched Andrew, we were not focused on his disability. We helped him develop the skills to market himself as an architect. No one with a disability gets a job because of their disability. It's all about skills, and Andrew's a perfect example of someone that took what we helped him learn and was able to independently get a job in the private sector.
Do you run a small business in Minnesota? Are you trying to expand your operations? Or need help adjusting to changes brought on by the COVID-19 pandemic? Then contact your local Small Business Development Center.
We'd like you to know that whether you're starting a brand new business, growing an existing one, or if your business needs help because of the COVID pandemic, the SBDC can provide that help, and it won't cost you a penny.
These are hard times, but if you need help with your business, Small Business Development Centers have real professionals standing by, ready to help you develop your business plan, do marketing and research, set up your accounting, gain access to capital, and much more. And they do it all for free. So contact us today at mnsbdc.com.
In Minnesota, we're training our workforce for the next chapter of the global economy.
Can't wait to get started on this project.
It's great hands-on practice.
I think our students will love it.
I'll bring this to the robotics lab.
Our education and business climate are among the best in the nation. And they work together to grow creative, high-skilled talent.
The possibilities are almost endless.
We're a state that works hard, boasting one of the highest participation rates in America's workforce.
Awesome, man. This looks great. We can really do anything here.
Great things are happening in Minnesota, and we can help you thrive.
Final touch, man. Checkmate.
Join us.
Hi, my name is Amoga, co-founder and CEO of Carbon Origins. We're a robotics and VR company on a mission to make robots commonplace. So we're a group of scientists, engineers, and entrepreneurs. We have landed robots on Mars, we've launched suborbital rockets, we've deployed satellite constellations, developed VR technologies for Disney. We're very passionate about deep tech, and we see robotics as the future of front-end labor. And our goal is to incubate that in a location, in a place where it can get the most TLC. We originally started the company in California, but we moved to Minnesota a few months ago. Really affordable to build robots in the United States here in Minnesota. There are a lot of contract manufacturers here with the right expertise. There are other companies building robots here. It is going to be the hotbed for robot manufacturing. The reason is, if you can build Skippies, our robots, to work in the Minnesota weather and geography, they can work anywhere.
Now, when you hire someone with a disability, you've immediately led by example. You've said you trust a new perspective, that you're confident in that person, in yourself, and your team. Now, I work with a theater company, and we have signs on the wall that say, "Work your quirk," and radical inclusion. They emphasize that what makes us different gives us strength, a new perspective, a creative edge. In Cajun cooking, there's an ingredient called the lagniappe, and it's that little something something that keeps you coming back. Hire somebody with a disability. It's the lagniappe thing to do.
So, you've decided to start your own business. You have the resources to sell or the services your new customers need. So what's next? Here's a simple checklist to help you get started. First, choose your business structure. Do you want a sole proprietorship, partnership, limited liability company, or corporation? Each form has tax and financial consequences. Next, check to make sure the name you want to use for your business is available. You can do this by checking with the Minnesota Secretary of State office. If you want to be a sole proprietor, all you have to do is register the business name with the Secretary of State office. Or if your business is going to be an LLC or a corporation, when you file the business
Thank you, Eric. I want to take a minute here and welcome all of you to Workforce Wednesday. We are so excited to have you join us today to hear from an incredibly talented group of workforce professionals. In the chat, take a minute and let us know where you're joining us from. It's always great to see all of the different places throughout the state and sometimes throughout the country of where people are here from. Workforce Wednesdays is a monthly webinar that's held the first Wednesday of every month from 11 a.m. to 12 noon with a special unplugged Q&A session from 12 to 12:30. At that time, you can kind of on-camera your video and you can unmute and ask questions of our panelists. As this is a challenging time for all of us in workforce, these webinars provide an opportunity for employers and workforce professionals to share their successful strategies that others may choose to replicate. Next slide. Oh, you're there right now. Workforce Wednesdays are put on by Deed's Workforce Strategy Consultant team, who works with businesses in high growth industries throughout the state to address the talent shortage and to develop innovative workforce strategies. The workforce strategies work is focused around developing innovative workforce solutions by aligning resources, facilitating collaboration, and leveraging expertise in targeted industry sectors that drive economic equity and growth in Minnesota. We have 6 workforce strategy consultants, and they're located in the 6 different regions of the state. Each of them are participating in the event, or most of them are participating in today's event. And at the end of the session, there will be a map where you'll be able to see who's in your region. But just a quick shout out, James Whirlwind Soldier is in the Northeast. Shayla Drake is in the Northwest. Della Ludwig is in the Central region. Adeshewa Adesiji is in the 7-county metro area. Jessica Miller in South Central and Southwest, and Jessica O'Brien in the Southeast. As I said, a map with their contact information will be shared in the resources at the end of the presentation. You will also, if you registered for the event, you will get a list of the resources and the PowerPoint. That seems to always be a question. And thanks, James, for updating me. Shayla is in the Northeast and James is in the Northwest. Apologize for that. Okay, so next slide. For those of you that I haven't introduced myself to, I am Jackie Buck, and I'm the Director of Workforce Strategy at Deed. I will be leading the discussion today on engaging potential talent through on-site career exploration opportunities. Here's a brief look at our agenda, which consists of an overview of the programs that will help you build and develop your talent pipeline, as well as resources, with the bulk of the time being spent with our expert workforce panelists. Next slide. It is critical to connect, for employers to connect with their communities and help assist with their job openings and to create a workforce pipeline. Summer is a great time for employers to develop programs for their job seekers, including youth, to learn about your organization and the career opportunities that are available to them. If you feel your company is too small to develop your own programs, you can work with community leaders by sponsoring activities and events through pre-developed programs that already exist. Programs can be as simple as offering tours to developing a specific internship or work experience program. Keep in mind that only 53.5% of 16 to 19-year-olds participate in the labor force. So what a better way to engage this potential work group at this time. About 2/3 of the high school graduates also go on to 4-year universities, but these students often take the summers off from schooling, so it's a great time for businesses to offer externships or job shadowing programs and let them see behind the scenes of your organization and its career opportunities for them. School leaders are also a great potential job seeker group, your teachers and some of the other professionals in the education sector that might be willing to learn another trade in the summer. This opportunity also gains company access to the teachers and the students during the year because they can share their experiences that they had. Many employers are also interested in veterans who have recently returned from deployment, and that might be another opportunity to provide them an opportunity to learn a new skill. So today's presentation is going to focus on internships, externships, job shadowing, and work experience. The next slide, please. Before we talk with the panelists, I think it would be important that we all have a common understanding of the 4 differences in these programs. An internship can be full or part-time and offer hands-on experience in your chosen field. A formal internship program is structured and supervised with orientation and training to ensure interns do well. You also have an externship, which is almost like a shortened internship that lasts for maybe just a few weeks. And job shadowing is on-the-job training that allows an interested employee to follow and closely observe another employee who's actually doing the job itself. And of course, summer work experience is a short period of time spent in a workplace. Usually young people are taking on these opportunities. So if we want to go to the next slide, we know that the programs can be very beneficial to the job seeker as it provides experience. But I also want to let you know that it is very beneficial to the employers, and that tends to be our primary audience today. Per the recent Indeed article, these opportunities provide a larger workforce for employers by offering support and help to current employees. Even if the tasks are given to them, they have modest levels of responsibility, and you can teach new skills about the industry and work with fellow employees. Mentorship opportunities are given to current employees and help develop future leaders in the field. And that is a critical opportunity. It can provide a healthy workforce culture, and it can also help build company morale. Helping to teach and develop individuals new to the career can motivate employees and reinvigorate their passion or work ethic and increase effective leadership within the team. These programs offer a fresh look at companies' day-to-day business and procedures, as seasonal staff can share their ideas on strategies and on plans and on policies and more. With a growing presence and use of social media, for example, interns can apply their technology skills to bring creative ideas and opportunities for social media marketing and engagement. Communities and industries often commend those who provide internships to the next generation. Companies that offer these programs can establish and grow their connections with high schools and two-year schools and four-year schools, and can establish and grow their connections with the high schools and colleges, increasing their visibility and their ability to recruit other students. They can also help to promote community involvement and presence through teaching the prospective workforce and having an impact. Companies can also select and develop future talent through these programs and increase their staff retention rates, since many of these programs offer job opportunities at the end. And it allows these students to get into the new role faster than an external hire might. There's so many great opportunities, and I just want to say in conclusion, these programs develop exposure to opportunities, educates the job seekers on career pathway opportunities, and build skills and experiences in a career field. We hear over and over again from high school students and even junior high school students, what am I going to do after I finish? Do I really have a passion in one industry? And so by providing awareness in these other opportunity or other industries really provides a great way to share information. Next slide. Some of the resources are listed on this page. Many of you, you'll hear about today. Career One, which is in Stearns and Benton counties, Summer Youth Employment Program, and it offers some really fun, unique, and often life-changing summer employment skills training for youth ages 14 to 17. Red Wing Ignite fuels economic development by working with key sectors of the community to spur innovation by supporting entrepreneurs, businesses, and students. Resource Training and Solutions is also one of the nonprofit service cooperatives in Minnesota that serves and enriches school districts, cities, counties, government agencies, and more. Minnesota River Valley Career and Technical Education Collaboratives, or CTE, provides students of all ages with the academic and technical skills, knowledge, and training necessary to succeed in future careers. The Minnesota Youth Program provides short-term employment, again, from youth, at-risk youth who are ages 14 to 24 and who lack the academic and applied skills considered critical in the workforce. Step Up is a Minneapolis-based partnership in the city of Minneapolis Achieve Minneapolis and Career Force Minneapolis and Project for Pride in Living are a collaborative that work on the Step Up program. It provides summer internship opportunities for youth ages 14 to 21 from Minneapolis who have not yet enrolled in a post-secondary opportunity. On the next slide, you'll also see a few more programs and resources, not only at DEED, but also at the Department of Labor and Industry and our Career Force partners that are located all over the state. Next slide, please. I would like to introduce our unbelievable panelists who are going to be joining us today. We are so lucky. When I look at their bios and some of their experiences, I just have to tell you all, I can't thank you enough for being with us today. Tammy Beary is the Executive Director of Career Solutions, a partner agency in Career Force St. Cloud. Its focus is workforce development initiatives, primarily in Stearns and Benton counties in the greater St. Cloud area. They provide many services and dislocated worker programs and career and job related programs for at-risk youth in the community. And they also work very closely with our workforce strategy consultant in the central region, Della Ludwig, by assisting employers with their workforce needs. Tammy has some really innovative strategies and programs to share with you today. Burke Murphy is the workforce lead for Red Wing Ignite. She brings years of experience organizing and implementing regional economic competitiveness initiatives with an emphasis on building partnerships across our systems to develop relevant education, training, and workforce development opportunities. She has been with Red Wing Ignite since 2017, and she does a lot of grant development and grant writing as well to secure regional, state, and federal local grants. And she also worked for the state and with DEED and in the past. So it's great to see her again. Next slide, Wanda Kraemer is the education manager of Career Connected Learning at Resource Training and Solutions in the St. Cloud area. She began her CTE and research and development at this location in 2021 in preparation for launching programming associated with Career Connected Learning. She has 25 plus years experience in education, and we are so happy to have her with us today, as well as Bruce Bergeson, who is the director of Minnesota River Valley CTE Collaborative. He was a career educator, spending his first 11 years as a physical education and biology instructor, and the next 30 years providing building level educational leadership in elementary school, middle schools, and high schools. And most recently, being the high school principal in Montevideo, Minnesota. Bruce, I have to tell you, I was born in Montevideo, Minnesota, so we have a connection there. But we're really glad to hear a lot of what you have to say and some of your innovative solutions as well. So let's get started and hear from the panelists. And I know this is the highlight for all of you who have joined us today. So in getting started, the first question I have is, can you give us a brief overview of your program opportunities, highlighting promising practices for hiring and retaining talent? And let's start with Tammy.
Thank you, Jackie. Welcome everyone to the webinar. I'm going to talk a little bit about Career One, and you saw a link was posted in the chat. Career One is for 14 to 17-year-olds. This year we're going to host 140 in St. Cloud and 40 in remote sites throughout Stearns County. They work for 20 days and we grade them on work quality, work quantity. We have a dress code that they need to follow. And there's three big pieces of activities that they'll be working on. They'll be in a computer lab working on math and reading over the summer so that they don't regress. They're working on career exploration activities, building a resume, all of those different type of career exploration types of things. Another component is team building activities, because when we start a job, we don't get to pick who we work with. So we make sure that we don't take kids from the same high school and put them on the same team. We mix them up so that they can work on building new relationships and figuring out how to work together. And lastly, we partner with CentraCare primarily for work-based activities. So they're at the hospital, which is just a few blocks away, where they're spreading mulch, pulling weeds. They may be going to other nonprofits in the community doing some staining or painting, groups of 10 to 20 at a time of the 140. So at the end, based on their performance, their daily performance, they receive a stipend. We put that on a debit card, and then another 2 weeks, they get the other half of their money on that debit card. And we teach them how to use that money on a debit card. They understand the difference between debit and credit. And part of the training in the lab is that financial component. We also have added tracks for groups of 20 within there. There's a healthcare track, there's a manufacturing and construction track, and this year there's an early childhood education track. Those students receive college credits, 3 college credits in that area. All the other ones receive 1 college credit, which is new this year, for a course that's offered through the St. Cloud Technical Community College called How to Get a Job and Keep It. So we're really excited that these 14 and 17-year-olds are walking away with high school credit or with college credit, which ties them to the college. And hopefully they utilize that as they plan for their future after graduation. We do take some of the healthcare students and the construction students on into Career 2, which we finish with the healthcare students, the CNA coursework. So when they're done, they are job eligible to be a CNA. They'll have that certificate as they walk away from the program. And through construction, we complete some work with Habitat for Humanity and other projects where they're not quite eligible because of labor laws to be in a construction field, but we want to try to keep them as engaged as we can throughout the rest of high school and hopefully see if we can help them continue to explore construction as a career option. So lots of great things in Career 1, but I'll let the video in the that was posted in the chat, the link there, explain more. So thank you, Jackie.
Yeah, thanks, Tammy. Really helpful. I love the comment you made about the team building mix. It really is true. We don't get to choose who we work with once we get out in the real world. So it's great that you give that experience to them right away. Burke, do you want to answer the first question about your overview of your program opportunities and highlighting any promising practices for hiring and retaining talent?
Yes, I'm happy to do that. Hi, Jackie. Thank you so much for this invitation and this wonderful platform. I would be talking about the Youth Skills Training Program that Red Wing Ignite spearheaded back in 2019. And this is sponsored by the Department of Labor and Industry, their Youth Skills Training Program. We formed a countywide collaboration built around this idea of applied learning. There was a huge investment by the school system to move beyond the bricks and mortar classroom for applied learning environments. And we also had a very willing coalition of Red Wing area manufacturers because they were facing a tsunami of retirees and young people not particularly interested, but more accurately, not really well informed about the occupational opportunities in advanced manufacturing here in Goodhue County. Just so you know, in Red Wing alone, there are approximately 4,000 people working in advanced manufacturing, very diverse companies, and the Red Wing area manufacturers number 53. So that's a very strong concentration of advanced manufacturing. So this collaboration involved the technical college, all the school districts. There's 7 school districts in Goodhue County, the Red Wing area manufacturers, and then Red Wing Ignite. And we were essentially the neutral broker We are an innovation hub, a tech hub here in Southeast Minnesota, and we're very concerned about students not being aware of the opportunities in career and technical education here in the region. And so we wrote the grant and were the lead on this collaborative. We agreed on a framework within the confines of the Department of Labor and Industry. So we formed student cohorts that were serving 16, 17-year-olds and 18-year-olds across the county. And we were forming these student cohorts, much what you were referencing, Jackie and Tammy, because we saw them as the labor shed, essentially, that was going to be feeding that talent pipeline for our manufacturing employers across Goodhue County. And so what we were doing was providing access, exposure, and opportunity to careers and occupations in advanced manufacturing. And we got the first pilot grant, and then we had a second round where we expanded our focus to include agribusiness. Unfortunately, the expansion to agribusiness coincided with the pandemic and made it much harder for new employers to participate in the program because they were prohibited to bring non-essential workers onto the floor. But nonetheless, what our students really learned about was themselves. It was very impactful in that they were changing their perception about not only their career interests and how these skills might be tied to great job opportunities here in Goodhue County, but they were realizing that these were world-class companies that were globally competitive, and it kind of gave them a new pride in where they were from. And it expanded their horizons in a big way. And so our program involved a fall course taking OSHA 10 at the college and soft skills. And so they earned a college credit, they earned an industry credential, and across the board, all the students participating said that they felt that it was essential preparation to enter these workplace environments. So our program involves the fall semester, which is the course at the college, and and cohort sessions where we take a deeper dive into the careers that they think they're interested in. 9 times out of 10, when you ask the student what it is they're interested in, they have no idea what is involved in being a mechanic or an engineer or a welder or a CNC operator, or you go down the list, they just don't know. So we make it real, we take a deeper dive, and then we also do, in the fall semester, anywhere from 5 to 10 virtual or on-site industry tours. And our Perkins Consortium helped support the cost of transportation in this rural community, and the schools agree in advance to a couple of days, full days off to do these tours. And these are very impactful, whether they're on-site, where they're physically wowed by the scale of things and the business and seeing robotics in action, seeing automation and AI in action, or whether they're very personal and intimate, just like this virtual experience where a plant manager, an operations manager, an HR manager, a technician will share their personal story of how they had come to the Red Wing Shoe or Central Research Lab or 3M Fall Protection, and what it is they love about what they do, why they're there. And this has been a very personal experience for many of the students, and they are so honored that these people are willing to share their story. And so the narrative really has great meaning and creates a personal connection. So this program then kicks into gear in usually the beginning of February in the spring semester. And by then I have spent 6 months with these students and I have a real sense of what career pathways they're interested in and what environments might be the most conducive for them. And also what would be a reasonable expectation for them to drive during the school day to fulfill this internship. And so safety comes first across the board. They get 2 placements. They're both about 40 hours each, and they get to earn $10 to $15 an hour, depending on the employer. And during the school year, from February to the end of May, they can earn up to $800. But quite frankly, those incentives, the college credit, the industry credential, the money they can earn, doesn't compare to the transformative impact of the real life internship inside those companies. They are honored that supervisors want to spend time with them, that respect them, that talk to them about their career. And students stand up a little straighter, look you straight in the eye, have a greater sense of pride in who they are, and they express gratitude in a way that is just great to hear. So we've just ended last week our 4th year of doing this program. I hope that's enough information for now.
Yeah, it sure is. And you must be very proud. I mean, especially coming off another year and a success.
I am. Feels really great.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much for sharing. Wanda, let's move over to you, and maybe you can tell us a little bit about your program activities and talk about some of the promising practices you've had.
Sure. So thank you for having me today. Welcome, everyone. My name is Wanda, and I work at Resource Training and Solutions. And it's been mentioned already by Jackie, but we are essentially one of the 9 Minnesota service co-ops in Minnesota. And our region is in central Minnesota, predominantly these 9 counties that you see on the screen. And we are and have been working on our career and technical education programming this past year, but we have programming already happening with CTE around the state within our other co-ops. For example, in our Lakes Country Co-op on the west, we have had a CTE certification program that they've been working on for teachers with MDE. And in our southern co-ops, they've developed the LIFT program and services for school districts in the realm of mini grants and career navigators. And also in the Southeast co-op, they've been working on business directory and linking schools with businesses. And that's what we really do in our service co-ops. We act as a service provider for school districts in helping to develop these programs. And right now we're working on developing this link between businesses and schools to try to help students develop better ideas for what they want to do for their future, and at the same time as helping businesses to gain their workforce or a future workforce either through that development. And at Resource, we're working on lots of different upcoming programs, but the one that we jumped into to start this summer is our teacher externship program. And as we work through those ideas of the teacher externship program, we're really trying to bring home that concept of it takes a village to raise a student or raise a child, right? And so we're trying to make that connection between businesses and schools, and we're using our teachers as that connector. And the externship program is a paid experience for the teachers, about 3 to 5 days, depending on the business that they are going to work at. And upon their completion of their experience, they will work with us to develop a lesson plan that they can take back to their schools and share with their students, and hopefully bring in that real world relevant concept back into their classroom. So all of our co-ops, again, have been working with CTE in some way, shape, or form, and we're working on developing programs that we can offer statewide as well, to continue working toward business directories, to continue working on that support that schools may need for career navigation. And again, many of those are already in place throughout the state, and there's more to come as we meet as a whole collective group and discuss what kinds of options that we for programming that we can supply to school districts, connecting them to businesses as we move along in the process.
Thank you so much. It was a great overview, and it's so nice to see how these cooperatives are really bringing business and students together. Bruce, we're going to pass it over to you and hear about some of the great things that you're doing in your area.
Yeah, thank you. I'm glad to be here today. I'm not only presenting, but this has been just great hearing about all the other, great programs that are out there and all the innovative things that people are doing in other parts of the state. Kind of missed that, didn't get as much of that during the pandemic as I was used to having. As you mentioned before, I'm a career educator, 42 years in the education business. I know you're thinking he must have started when he was 10 years old, right?
I'm sure.
No. I work with students and try to get them connected with careers, but I've also gotten on the track of the other end of things too. And maybe it's because I'm kind of reinventing myself after a career, but we have tons of people that are 60 to 75 years old that still want to work, but they need flexibility and part-time. So that's all I'm going to say about that right now. I want to emphasize the collaborative in the Minnesota River Valley CT Collaborative. It's born out of need, but it's been the great collaboration skills of our school districts and our partners that have really made success and created opportunities for students in our area. The school districts that I work with, Lakeview, which is located in Cottonwood, McRae, located in Clara City, Montevideo, Renville County West, located in Renville, and Yellow Medicine East, located in Granite Falls. So very contiguous school districts here in the southwest part of the state. We work with some great non-education partners too. The Minnesota River Valley Education District provides great support, supporting the fiscal part of the program that we run. Minnesota West Community and Technical College, a lot of educational opportunities. Southwest West Central Service Co-op, which is kind of the incubator of the idea of working together and providing opportunities for students. And the Southwestern Minnesota Private Industry Council, which just does a great job connecting business and education opportunities for our students. Little short history. We began talking in 2015 just because in our small rural schools, we're losing CTE teachers and there's not a lot of replacements that are out there. And we wanted to have continued and expanded opportunities for our students to get onto technical and career pathways that don't necessarily require that students are on that 4-year college track. I've seen so many of our students when I was a high school principal that felt like, well, that's what I need to do. That's what's expected. I don't know what I want to do, and don't end up getting a degree and owing thousands of dollars, but eventually finding a pathway too. And our thoughts are if we can get those students onto those pathways early, that's going to be a much more efficient way for our students to find that job that fits them down the road. But we began those talks. We offered our first class in 2017, that spring, in Introduction to Medical and Healthcare Careers. It was a class that none of our high schools were offering. They didn't have the staff to provide it, but by working together, they had 16 students that came together at Minnesota West College. And by working together, we got students connected into possible career paths. I'm not going to say all those students went down that path, but they at least were able to find out if that was for them. But even just as importantly, if it was not for them, they did not go into a program at a college thinking that's what they wanted to do and finding out, no, that's not for me. So trying to find those things out early are very, very important. Our collaborative organized in the school year of 2018-19. That's when I retired as a high school principal and became the director in a half-time role here. We've been expanding from that one course we offer. We now offer 14 courses throughout the year. Just to name some of them, we offer courses in nursing assistant, carpentry skills, power line technician, commercial driver's license, welding principles, things like that. We've had even previous courses like Introduction to Manufacturing, which we've now dropped because we can't find an instructor anymore. We'd like to bring it back. We had an aviation course, which was connecting students into careers as pilots. If anybody's flown lately on Delta, you know that they need pilots. They're canceling flights all over the place. So trying to get students connected into those kind of careers by offering classes that hopefully they get connected to, or even, like I said, find out that that's not a pathway that they want to take. Every one of our classes has an employability component. Our businesses have told us we need our workers coming out and knowing the basics, how to be a good employee, show up every day, come on time, give your best every day, those kinds of things. And it sounds like, well, of course, everybody knows that, but you'd be surprised. Even adults in their 20s and 30s don't always know that that's the way that they should be. So we try to get students to know how to get a job, but even more importantly, how to keep a job once they're in there. Within that employability skills component, our students have 3 to 5 job shadow opportunities where they connect into businesses, get inside the walls, so to speak. We've had so many of our students that have driven by buildings for years and have no idea what's going on the inside. Well, we get them on the inside so they can see what's happening in there. And then recently, in the last, I think this is our second year, we offer an internship program where one of our work-learn coordinators with the Private Industry Council will connect students into a job they're interested in. And if they have time in their day, 1 hour, 2 hours, up to 4 hours of their day that can be on the job, most of the time getting paid and getting that experience that just helps build that resume. And I'll cut that off for now too, Jackie.
Thank you so much. Great ideas. It's really exciting to see how you're connecting job seekers and employers. And I know we had a question next about that, but I think so many of you have already talked about how you can connect job seekers and employers with these programs. But I think I'm going to move on to the question, how else do you engage employers to be involved in your organization and to strengthen their workforce pipeline? So if someone wants to take that, I'm certainly open. Tammy, if you want to start it, that's great, or anyone else.
Sure, I can go ahead, Jackie. Career One is started with our Minnesota Youth Programming Money, which I know there was a link at the beginning of the presentation about that. But it would not be the size that it is if it wasn't for the business partners that we are working with. CentraCare, primarily our largest employer in the St. Cloud and Central Minnesota area, they really help support the program in a number of ways. Besides financially, they help, coordinate the work efforts. That takes a lot for their buildings and grounds and other staff to participate. They help us look for those externships for those that participate in Career One. They can come back a second year and as a lead because they showed leadership their first year. They then get placed into an externship for 40 hours within CentraCare or other businesses in the community. As we look at careers, we bring businesses in to either give tours or speak about the career fields that they have. They help with some of the curriculum, the financial curriculum, for example. And there are financial companies or banks that will be willing to come in and help make that happen. And then there's also the sponsorship piece, helping us raise the additional funds just helps us increase our capacity for the number of students that we have in the program. So this year we have about 400. Usually we have about 400 applications for the 170 to 180 spots that we have. So there's room to grow the program. It's just being able to find the resources to make that happen. But the program is what it is because the community is surrounding us and helping us in a multitude of ways to just keep growing the program and taking those career opportunities even further down the pipeline. So if someone shows interest, how can we help them meet with an employer to continue to connect? So that's just my example.
Yeah, thank you so much. I know you've done so much with sponsorships and funding with businesses and ways to engage employers. So that's really critical. I also know, Burke, without the advanced manufacturers in Red Wing Ignite, it wouldn't be what it is today. Can you talk about how you engage employers?
Well, certainly we participate in the Red Wing Area Manufacturing Association and go to their events, and they take other business members of the community on industry tours themselves. So we connect with them. We find out what their needs are and what the work environment is like. And I just want to reiterate that virtual or in-person tours are very effective. We also have employer panels. So for instance, in the OSHA 10 Plus soft skills course that we deliver at the college, we end it with an HR panel and a representative panel from the different manufacturers. And most of the time, the people who are on that panel talk about their own career pathway again. So you just never know how many seeds you're planting. But students are also reluctant to speak up. They're reluctant to ask questions. So it's very important to organize and structure in advance with the panel or with the manufacturers what it is that you want to discuss, and make sure that they're prepared to talk about their career pathway and they're not blindsided by this. But one other thing I can mention is that we have the City Public Works Department, which employs 80, is facing a lot of retirements, and the public sector is having a really hard time recruiting students. So we had an all-day industry tour, and working with the City Public Works Department also helped them organize an apprenticeship program and get the city and city council to get behind funding an apprenticeship program. And so one of our Learn and Earn students from this year has already applied for one of those apprenticeships. And so it's not just introducing them, but it's connecting the dots, and it's making it as easy as possible to find out about the opportunities that exist right here in our community.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. We've heard a lot about soft skills training and how important it is in the presentation today. And you also mentioned something about apprenticeships, which is going to be part of the presentation or the webinar next month. So at Ashaywa, we'll talk more about that a little later. Anyone else, Wanda or Bruce?
Yes, I can give a little bit more detail, I think, about our externship program. I think the idea behind our externship program is to address this type of scenario, right? We have students out there that, as a teacher, Bruce, I also was a biology teacher for all those years that I taught, and we hear this question time and time again, right? And as we're thinking about those externships and getting teachers involved, we understand that as we as teachers learn more, then we can offer that to our students, and we can build relevance for student learning. And that means that we are using integration as our goal within our externship program. And the teachers that we're targeting are basically middle school and high school teachers, and we've had the high school teachers participating in our program this summer. This is our first offering of the program, but we really would love to see math, science and engineering, social studies, and language arts teachers, because honestly, those are the teachers where we can do the most integration. It's a building process, right? So once we get to the point where we integrate career exploration into all core areas of education, then we can really build upon the model of experiential learning, getting students out there to experience life at a business through internships or job shadows and things of that nature. So as we move through the idea of what those impacts are in our externship program, those teachers, after they finish their experience with the business, will sit down with us and write a lesson for their classroom. And that lesson will naturally integrate careers that were the teacher was exposed to at the business they were attending, and also advice and different links that students can go to learn more about those businesses. And upon completion of those lesson plans, a resource will post them as toolkits on our website, making them available to all of our school districts. And as we move through that, that gives the businesses opportunity to not just touch the students in one lesson from one school, but move out to students in many other schools as well. And then beyond that, for long-term impacts, again, we're hoping to build these partnerships. So right now we have several businesses that have jumped on board for this summer to sponsor teachers. And I have been going out to meet with those businesses, discussing the program with them and learning about how their business works. That's one of the things that I learned that I needed to do, is to just go there and do the tours myself and see what's happening at the businesses so that I can make better matches for the teacher and the business. And our business sponsors sponsor a teacher for $1,500, and that provides a paid teacher for the student or for the teacher during the summer. And again, building on these relationships, building on these partnerships to hopefully get to that point where we're not only just giving students a chance to explore careers within every classroom, but also building to that point of experiences and experiential learning. And at the same time, building our future workforce. And we can only do that if we start to develop these partnerships, right? So right now we are working through that process and meeting with businesses, and we are working with Tammy's organization and chambers within our area and other career entities to try to pull together more partnerships to bring schools and businesses together. And of course, if we're working through that, of course, we provide relevancy to students and things of that nature and help build our workforce. But also in the realm of just within our region, inviting businesses in and building from that concept of it takes a village to raise a child, right? And as we think through that, we want students and teachers and businesses to feel like, hey, this is a really good thing. This is a good direction that we're heading. This is where we should be heading. And we plan on building on to our programming and starting to recognize some of these relationships as well, because again, the students are our future, right? And businesses are interested, and again, difficult to start during a pandemic, but we're getting a lot of good feedback and a lot of hope for building the program next year, next summer. And we can only do that if businesses are offering to sponsor teachers. And again, more of a work in progress. I know the Southeast Co-op just did a big appreciation event for their businesses and their participation within their program Future Forward. And I also did some work with their program in Future Forward, where I worked with a on-the-job training class. And I'll piggyback off of something Burke said, and Bruce as well, and Tammy, but we utilize the program to develop a virtual Q&A session for students. And each student then, I was able to utilize businesses to meet virtually. And so each person had a business expert that they were interested in to meet with. And I thought maybe this would go about 15 or 20 minutes if we helped out with the questions. But each student actually interviewed or talked to their expert for half an hour or more. And some students went past that time. So it was really beneficial for the students. And one student even, she actually rated the activity low because she said, well, now I know what I don't want to do. And we all chuckled at that because that is exactly the point of the activity, right? To give some type of experience, give students this opportunity to talk to people before they head out and have to change their mind after the fact, right? So, yeah. So that's another way that we were bringing in businesses. Yep.
Thank you, Wanda. And we're getting close to the end. So Bruce, we're going to have you answer this question in our Unplugged session, because I have one question. I'm going to start it off with you, Bruce. And I want everyone to give one piece of advice today that you would give to businesses about how could they get started with some of these different exploration opportunities. So if we can leave them with one piece of advice, that would be really helpful. And Bruce, we'll start with you.
Okay. You know what? I'm going to repeat some advice that my friend Jason Dunnick says all the time. Don't wait to be invited to collaborate. If you're a business out there, don't say, well, nobody ever, asked us to do it. Step out and say, here's an idea I have. How can we work together? How can I get students into my business, get connected, get them on the pathway? And you have to be patient too. I'd add that in there. Sometimes the connections you make, especially with students, don't pay off for 3, 5, 10 years down the road. These students don't always know what they want to do, but down the road, they'll remember that they made a connection at one point when they were in high school.
Excellent. Thank you. We heard a lot about collaboration and partnership, and I love your comment about don't wait. Tammy, one piece of advice?
I would just echo that. I mean, collaboration is key. Don't always think that you have to build things yourselves. Look for partners such as Career Solutions or the Chambers, or in our area, the Greater St. Cloud Development Corp. I mean, we're all there. And the more we learn about your business, the more we can help your business. So there's another benefit that might come out of it. It might not be the reward of the program right away, but it could be that we learn more about your company and can help make stronger or weave it into other events that we have. So I think that there's more that will come out of that relationship than just the collaboration on a certain project.
Thank you. Burke, one piece of advice?
Sorry, are we speaking to representatives from employers on this call?
We sure are.
Okay, that's great. I want to just share that on a recent tour of our different industries, our students all said their favorite place was 3M Fall Protection. Why, we said? Because they said it was air conditioned, it was clean and safe, and the person who took us on the tour knew everybody's name that worked there. So I would say to employers, really think about your work culture and environment. How welcoming is it to young people? How welcoming is it to girls and women? How welcoming is it to BIPOC youth?
Excellent. Thank you. And Wanda? You can wrap us up here before I turn it on over to Adeshewa. What's the one piece of advice that you would offer to businesses?
Well, I'll echo what Tammy and Bruce said about finding your chambers, finding those groups that are working with career components, and linking not just adults, but also students to different career exploration opportunities, but also find who your service co-op is in your area, because that's your link to a large grouping of schools. And all of our service co-ops are developing programming in this area. So that's a huge one. And many of them, including us, are developing partnerships with all of those entities like Career Solutions and the Greater St. Cloud Development Corp, like Tammy mentioned. So find your service co-op and those other collaborative groups.
Excellent. Thank you so much. I just want to thank our talented, knowledgeable panelists for all of their information today and for sharing with us some of their successful programs. It was very helpful, very educational. And as I can see on the screen, some people are clapping. So I just want to say it's just been a fabulous, fabulous event. And with that, I want to invite you to stay tuned for Unplugged at 12 o'clock. But prior to that, I'm going to turn it over to Adeshewa Adesiji to wrap up and tell us about next month.
Yes, thank you, Jackie. Yeah, a lot of good conversations. I want to thank you, especially to the panelists, for bringing up, employers needing to take the initiatives and reaching out to the resources in their areas and company culture as well. So definitely a lot of good information. So I'm sorry, let me go to where I need to go. So, I want you to join us next month for our next Workforce Wednesday webinar. And so the focus for our July 6th webinar will be on strategies for upskilling and training your workforce. So during this webinar, we'll have, an engaging discussion and learn about strategies for training and upskilling your workforce, as well as hear from a panel of employers and subject matter experts on practices and learning about state and regional support. So definitely join us for next month's Workforce Wednesday webinar event. I also want to take a moment, or I would also ask that you please take a moment to complete the survey on today's Workforce Wednesday webinar. We always try to make the next webinar better than the last. So any feedback, any suggestions that you have would be greatly appreciated. We'll also be sending you the recording and resources to those of you who registered. If you have any questions or want to reach out to a workforce strategy consultant in your area, this is the map. This shows all of our faces except for James. That'll be coming soon, and our contact information. So please feel free to reach out to us if you have questions, if you need assistance with supporting or getting connected to those resources. We really appreciate that. So right now we'll take a quick break, and then we'll continue our discussion during our Unplugged Q&A session. We hope to see all of you guys there. For those that cannot attend and participate in the Unplugged, we hope that you received a wealth of information from the panelists, the questions, and we just want to thank you again for being a part of this discussion.
So we'll just take